Welcome back to the Edwards Report. My name's Kalen. While the media focuses on the $66 million of food stamp fraud schemes making headlines, there's a far more devastating theft happening in plain sight. One that's stealing the future from millions of families, particularly in Black and Latino communities. The same system designed to help the poor is systematically destroying the foundation of family itself. So how is the government incentivizing fatherlessness while claiming to fight poverty? Let's find out.
I'm fucking pissed the fuck off. They cut my motherfucking food stamps to $85 from $738. How the fuck? That's supposed to support a household of 3 for a job that barely even support my basic needs now. Like, inflation is high and the groceries is high as shit. I'm pissed the fuck off. Like, I'm mad as shit because how the fuck am I supposed to survive off that shit? So when y'all see me in the motherfucking store stealing stuff in my motherfucking bag, nicely act like you don't see shit and mind your motherfucking business, because this shit is going in my motherfucking bag and I'm walking out this motherfucking store with my mother chest up and my head held high, and I dare you to try to tell me, hey ma'am.
Why's she mad at us? Why's she going off on us?
Excuse me, because I'm gonna look at you like you retarded and say go talk to Trump about this.
What a lot of men mean when they say Our Lady shows the government, because the entitlement in this video is out of this world. I know a lot of ladies like this who are single by choice with the same entitlement issues, who were taught growing up that the government is the government's job, it's the taxpayer's job to supplement their income because they have the inability or refuse to keep a man around to help them raise those kids. So it's daddy's government's job to come in, offer food stamps to keep everybody's bellies full. It's daddy's government's job to come in and supplement the housing situation and pay half the rent. It's daddy's government's job to make sure that everything is okay, right? That's choosing the state over building a community. Because when you choose to lay down, when you choose to try to have a child in this world, one of the things that you need to have a discussion about, which nobody seems to do anymore, is what y'all's goals are for these children in the future. And if you just getting your shit off with just a random man who's just trying to get a nut off, I guarantee y'all not about to have that conversation. Because if he's just trying to get a nut off, he's not gonna have that conversation with you. A lot of y'all are having babies out of one night stands. I'm not saying that's the case in this woman, or with men that y'all barely know who are not gonna help y'all raise that baby. And y'all were raised to believe that if that man don't show up, fine, I can have a baby, but daddy government's gonna come through and supplement my income. And I'm telling you, you are living in a time right now. You can blame Trump, you can blame whoever you want, where the government is tightening its belt and they're saying you. They don't care about you or those kids, or whether you go to bed hungry or not. And you can say whether it's right or wrong or whatever, but you need to consider that before you decide to bring people into this world, because it is not the government's job, it is sure not the taxpayer's job to take care of you and those children. And the amount of entitlement you have to say that you're going to go into a store and just start stealing because you can't afford to get X, Y, and Z. Instead of having those goals and projecting that to be your future, how about projecting the future of having a good, decent man come into your life to help you raise those kids? Or if you don't want a man, build a community with your girlfriends and try y'all best to pull y'all resources together and build a community so y'all can rely on each other and not necessarily the state, because the state don't give about you, baby.
Y'all just mad because I get 3 canned food stamps. So what? I get all kind of snacks while I'm sitting here chilling or whatever, paying no bills. No bills. I'm on government assistance. My son back there with his snacks. Government assistance, 3 canned food.
If you have made the conscious decision to have baby after baby after baby after baby 10 times, why do you expect the American taxpayers to pay for your bad decisions? Why should the American taxpayer pay for your lack of common sense, for your lack of discretion? Your mother should have taught you not to open your legs 10 times to somebody who could not afford to take care of your children. I think that parents are failing their children. I just saw a video with a mother who was 40 years old, 10 kids, getting $2,000 a month on EBT food stamps. My question is, who raised this particular young woman? Who raised a 40-year-old mother whose ambition or lack thereof has her with 10 kids getting $2,000 a month on EBT food stamps? Now,
What do you guys think about shaming these types of decisions and these types of behaviors? Do you guys think it'll work? I see the tide. I do this, I do these videos. So I see a lot more than most people. I see the tides kind of turning and people are starting to shame these behaviors.
I am not somebody who does not think that nobody should ever get food stamps. I think that if you have fallen on hard times and you need it for a certain time to get through a difficult period in your life, by all means, go ahead and get food stamps. But living on food stamps and receiving it for a certain amount of time are two different things.
I finally have something to yap about. So this message is for my child's father and my child's father only. If you are not him, keep scrolling. So, remember how you went and got on welfare to avoid paying child support? Well, I got a call from a fraud investigator, and they said that there was a referral on you for fraud, and that the person listed me as a person that would have information on you. And I said, I probably do. And she proceeded to ask me questions. And then she said, do you have a child support order? And I said, yes, I do. And then she said, what's the amount? I told her the amount. And then she said, that's a lot. How many kids do you have? I said, I have one. And she said, and that's your amount? I said, yes. She said, if you have a child support order, then his income was certified by the courts. Do you mind sending me your child support order? Because then I can cross-reference it with what he said he received in order to get welfare. And I said, absolutely, I can give this to you. And I did. So just to let you know, there is an open fraud investigation against you for falsely applying for government assistance. So I don't know who you pissed off, but you've clearly pissed someone off, and they have reported you for welfare fraud, and I just confirmed your income by sending over my child support order. So you might want to contact the Department of Public Social Services and clear this up, because you're going to jail.
Another day, another multi-million-dollar scam enabled by bureaucratic, democratic incompetence. Let's read the headlines. USDA employee and 5 others charged in a multi-million-dollar food stamp fraud and bribery scheme. So let's meet Miss Davis. Now, Miss Davis is an employee of USDA. She was the one who's supposed to catch fraud, but instead she sold the EBT number like it's a black market vendor. $66 million stolen from taxpayers while agencies rubber stamp application for sketchy stores. Not only that, James O'Keefe and citizen journalists caught on camera Deshaun Eli Mack, a family service specialist with Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, on camera admitting he does not care. Listen to what he has to say.
So whether it's a law.
So would that technically be subverting a law at all at that point?
I do the law. I will twist and turn our provisions to fit the way that I want them to. So whether it's a law or not, I don't know. Because I don't care.
You heard him clearly. He states he does not care, even if it's a law. Now, you have Democratic leaders screaming at the top of their lungs, saying that these people need their SNAP benefits. But I'm going to give you an example. How many people truly need their SNAP benefits because they are on social media, like TikTok, exposing themselves, selling their food stamp? You really don't have to look far, because this young lady puts it on her TikTok. She says she sells her food stamp. Second example, this young lady now owes $35,000 back to the state. The real question is, why isn't she behind bars?
So let's go ahead and start by exposing the problem. And the numbers don't lie. And in fact, they're actually quite shocking. While we are rightfully outraged about criminal fraud networks stealing millions, there's a legal form of theft that dwarfs these headlines: the systematic destruction of the two-parent single-parent households through welfare policy design. And here's the devastating reality that they really don't want you to see. Embrace yourself, because some of y'all might not like this. Black Americans participate in SNAP at nearly 25%. That's 1 in 4 black families. Now compare that to white families at just 7.85%. American Indian families are at 23%. Hispanic families, 18.5%. But these aren't just statistics. They represent millions of families that are trapped in a system that's designed to keep them dependent. And we've done these videos in the past, and people always say, oh, it's not just us if they're in the black community, or oh, it's not just us if they're in the Hispanic community, oh, it's not just us if they're in the white community. Guys, these are the numbers. These are the statistics. I don't like them just as much as you don't. But we can't blame each other. Let's start by investigating the system, because here's the connection between everything, right? So we have 65% of black children and 46% of Hispanic children that live in single parent households. Now compare that to just 24% of white children. I don't need a tinfoil hat, and I don't need a rocket science degree to see that that's not just a coincidence. I believe that that's policy. The communities that are the most reliant on government assistance are the same communities experiencing the highest rates of family breakdown. The current welfare system imposes what economists call marriage penalties that can cost some families over $10,000 just for getting married. So consider a scenario like this, right? We have a single mother that is earning, let's say, $16,000 with one child. That would get her $450 a month in food stamps, plus an additional $3,200 in tax credits. If she marries a man earning $25,000 or more, their combined income triggers a complete loss of SNAP benefits and a 90% reduction in tax credits. That's an effective 40% tax rate on marriage itself. Scripture tells us in Malachi 4:6 that God will turn the hearts of fathers to their children. But our welfare system does the exact opposite. It financially rewards fathers for abandoning their families and punishes them for staying. This isn't just bad economic policy. It's a direct assault on God's design for the family unit. It's the communities that need the strong families the most that are systematically incentivized to break them apart. Now, if this is something that you've either thought about or assumed or speculated about, but you haven't heard spoken about, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and leave a like on this video. I want to know if you guys have ever experienced, either for yourself or someone you know, the marriage penalties that we just spoke about.
Ladies and gentlemen, anybody want to tell me just what in South Carolina silliness is going on here? I saw the news in South Carolina, and I think Beaufort, South Carolina, there's a couple that's doing welfare fraud. They didn't report their income, so they get extra SNAP, supplement nutritional application paperwork. They did it to get more government money so they could buy food. And why am I reporting this? I'm reporting it because these ain't people that y'all usually blame this on. That's why. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm just flat out saying it ain't because it wasn't us. Y'all always be saying it's us. It ain't. And don't be saying, oh, it ain't us this time. No, they do it all the damn time. It just got reported this time. That's why I'm saying it. I know. But I'm saying it because it ain't us. Everybody love to blame us for stuff. No.
A Central Florida couple is in jail accused of stealing thousands of dollars of your money.
Authorities say the couple used fake IDs to steal food stamp benefits intended for needy families. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has been looking into this kind of fraud. Mike, there are a lot of victims of this crime.
There are, Matt. As a result of what this couple did, authorities say people who needed food stamps to feed their families were temporarily deprived of those benefits. At the same time, investigators say the thieves stole the identities of hundreds of Floridians, and you and I paid for it. Using this Apopka grocery store, state investigators say Uric Fano and his girlfriend, Quinteria Williams, pocketed nearly $200,000 of
200 bands? Oh my, whoa, wow.
your money in a sophisticated food stamp scheme.
Efforts that they went to in terms of scamming our workers, in fact, was very extensive.
According to investigators, the couple applied for food stamp benefits online using IDs stolen from nearly 700 Floridians. Most of those fraudulent applications were stopped, but in more than 100 cases, authorities say Fano and Williams tricked the state into issuing them EBT food stamp cards.
By doing so, they stole from hardworking Floridians whose tax dollars fund these needed programs in our communities.
State officials believe the couple took those stolen EBT cards to the Los Primos grocery and meat market. But instead of buying food, investigators suspect a store employee working in cahoots with the couple gave them cash while
Wow, they had an entire fraud ring going on. Could you guys imagine if these people spent even a quarter of the time building out a legitimate business that they spend building up these criminal enterprises? How much different would their life be?
while keeping a percentage of the money for him or herself. That part of the case remains under investigation.
Fraud is the silent killer of the Central Florida economy.
Prosecutors say they are trying to stop people who steal public assistance benefits. Are you giving the middle finger to taxpayers? Candace Neal was recently sentenced to 6 months in jail for illegally obtaining child care benefits. If convicted, the couple accused in this latest scheme could face even stiffer penalties.
That's what our focus is to go after the most egregious that we can find in the greatest number that we can find.
Now, the Department of Children and Families does have safeguards in place to try to catch people who fraudulently apply for food stamp benefits, but they say this couple was so good at what they did, they were able to beat the system, at least for a little while.
It is the awareness that you have been deputized by heaven to unlock purpose.
In 2018, Pastor Mitch Summerfield stepped into the role of lead pastor at Word of God Fellowship in Raleigh, a church founded by his late parents.
4 years ago, my parents died.
Pastor in the pink jacket. It's a red flag. Look. That's a red flag. That's all I'm saying. It's a red flag.
They transitioned to be with the Lord, and they were the great leaders of this church, of this great ministry.
His biography describes him as a next-generation leader, crediting him for closing real estate deals valued over $1 million. But according to the Department of Justice, he's now awaiting sentencing on federal charges of conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In court
Not the pastor, y'all. Come on.
documents, Summerfield is accused of opening several bogus companies and applying for federal loans designed to help small businesses during the pandemic. In total, he admitted to defrauding the government out of more than $400,000. One of the bogus companies, Winning Ways, which he claimed was a home for teen mothers, investigators say it never operated, but he still received a nearly $150,000 loan.
Wow.
According to documents, he used the money for everything from flights to shopping, designer clothes, and family planning.
Exactly what you need to trick the parishioners. Exactly what you need. Just look the part, fake the funk. A form of godliness, but denying the power. That's crazy.
After pleading guilty, he's now facing a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison, $1 million fine, and 5 years of supervised release. ABC 11 reached Summerfield's listed attorney by phone to try and get his side of the story, but she hung up on us. In Raleigh, Tom George, ABC 11, Eyewitness News.
Imagine waking up to find hundreds of dollars in SNAP benefits stolen from your account with no help in sight. For Memphian Felicia Green, this nightmare has become a recurring reality. WREG's Alan Self has her heartbreaking story.
Okay, this is really the second time I've been a victim of this food stamp fraud. The first time was back in April, like 5 months ago in April. They swiped my card after 7 minutes of me using it all the way in New York.
Felicia Green, a mother of 3, is struggling to feed her children after falling victim to SNAP benefit theft twice. The first incident saw hundreds of dollars spent in a New York store, a location she's never visited. This morning, history repeated itself. Green woke up to find her funds spent in Jamaica, a country she's never been to.
I checked my balance like at 5:30 this morning. and they had swiped it at 12:06 this morning in 5 different locations in Jamaica.
That's crazy. So we actually see 2 different forms of food stamp or welfare fraud, if you will. We see the people who don't need it but are intentionally scamming for it, and they're fraudsters. But then you see the people who are stealing it from people who legitimately may need it, fraud. So we got to cover both forms in this video.
So, and it added up to like $800, $900.
Despite reporting it, she's still waiting on reimbursement after being put on hold by authorities.
Now they got $2,000 from me. Now it's another waiting game. So it's like, why do I have to wait? And y'all already know I ain't in Jamaica, New York at 2 o'clock this morning. Like, come on now.
Online research revealed numerous victims facing identical issues, with identical amounts stolen from the same companies. She shared screenshots of the suspicious transactions with us.
And I know they got a lot of people today on Facebook. You know, Facebook tell you everything. And it's other people that got hit today with it too from the same stores. That's one of mine. 5 times, like different different transactions, and can't do nothing about it.
The investigation continues, but for Felicia, time is running out. We reached out to local authorities and SNAP administrators for comment. So far, no response. For your news leader in Orange Mound, I'm Alan Self, WREG News Channel 3.
Have you guys ever wondered why some people seem to make decisions that work against their long-term interests? I know I thought about it, and I finally come up with a hypothesis, okay? I believe that it's because the system has created a psychological trap that makes survival mode thinking seem rational, even when it's destructive. The culture told us that government assistance is a safety net, but safety nets don't often have spikes at the bottom. What we've actually created is a sophisticated snare that catches families in perpetual dependence. And the psychology is devastatingly simple, and the numbers prove it. When 1 in 4 Black families and nearly 1 in 5 Hispanic families depend on food stamps, compared to less than 1 in 12 white families, we're not looking at individual failures. We're looking at systemic entrapment that targets specific communities. When choosing between immediate survival and long-term flourishing becomes a zero-sum game, people choose survival every single time. Think about it like this. A Latino family in the Bronx loses $8,200 annually in housing and childcare benefits if the parents get married. That is 31% of their disposable income. And for families that are living paycheck to paycheck, that's not really a choice. It's financial suicide. But here's what I think is really insidious. The system creates what social workers call bureaucratic parenting. So instead of fathers being the spiritual leaders and providers that God intended them to be, government caseworkers become the real authority figures in these homes. Children grow up understanding that dad can't officially live here because if he does, then it messes up the benefits. And in Proverbs 22:6, we see that it instructs us to train up a child in the way that he should go. But what way are we training them when we teach them that family stability is a luxury that they can't afford? The cultural pressures compound this. Extended family networks, traditionally protective factors in Black and Latino communities, become financial liabilities. Grandparents help hide fathers from caseworkers, and couples practice what researchers call shift parentings, where fathers will be sleeping in the cars during the daytime visits of the caseworkers. This isn't just policy failure. It's the systematic rewiring of entire communities to view biblical family structures as obstacles to overcome rather than foundations to build upon. And if you guys are seeing this deception and how this all goes, make sure you subscribe to this channel and like this video. And let me know in the comment section below, what other safety net programs have you realized might actually be traps? Share your thoughts below.
Don't be fooled by the warm smile. What police say 57-year-old Nadine Jean-Baptiste did was stone cold. She was a principal clerk at the Department of Human Services in Rhode Island for over a decade. She supervised customer service assistants and had full access to EBT printing machines there. She knows the system.
This is a big inconvenience.
For 4 years, police say Nadine accessed people's personal information to check their EBT card balances. She then went in and changed their PIN numbers so that she could use their cards. 408 of them since January 2020. And investigators were onto her heavy. Here she is in June 2024, leaving a local market after using somebody else's EBT card. In July, she conducted 3 phone balance inquiries on another EBT card before going on a food run.
They let her get way ahead. Like, they've been watching her for a minute.
At a Stop and Shop. And here she is again at BJ's. The card she was using belonged to a man that was in jail. And she didn't do it alone. Police say her daughter, 27-year-old Octavia Jean-Baptiste, was also in on the scheme. They say she fraudulently used 95 EBT cards over the course of their years-long investigation. And the trick is, many of the victims' names were either kids eligible for the summer nutrition program, adults serving time in jail, or people reported deceased.
I mean, I was literally in Walmart crying.
Tracy Ransom, a Jersey native, was shocked when she saw this $555 transaction on her food stamp card. Someone unknown used it at a grocery store in Harlem at 4:26 a.m.
So we thought that it was just the credit card skimmers and people doing that. No, it's the employees too. We're cooked. The system is cooked. There's too much free money floating around. These people can't resist. Wow.
I wanted to see what my balance was to know what I was going to spend in that store. And when I went on the app and I checked my balance, I only saw $8.98. And I just broke down saying someone stole all my money.
She left Walmart empty-handed. She had 3 grandchildren to feed.
But I called the EBT provider and they canceled my card. She told me that keep in mind that it's happened to a lot of people and that form goes to the inspector general. Once they investigate or whatever, they will issue your stamps. And I'm like, what is there to investigate?
She is still waiting for her replacement funds. And so is Takoya Jordan from Lithonia, Georgia. She has 4 kids herself.
I knew I had money on my card.
Somebody stole over $500 in funds from her on the same day, October 5th.
So I went on the app and I saw that 4 different transactions from a store in Bronx, New York at 5:36 a.m. on October 5th. They was like over $120 transactions each.
They left her with 10 cents.
I just can't go and get the things that I need for me and my children because all my stamps is gone.
Data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture found that over 125,000 households across the nation reported SNAP benefit theft last year. States like New York hit the hardest with $17 million in theft in 2023 alone. This year, Maryland, Illinois, Texas, Georgia are also up there. Here's Karen Ransom, special agent in charge for the U.S. Secret Service.
But a lot of times what we see is that EBT and other payment card numbers are typically re-encoded onto phony cards that have magnetic strips that allows an individual other than a card holder to make purchases and in some cases withdraw cash.
Phishing and skimming is another big one. This family fell for a phishing scam in North Carolina when someone posing as a vendor offered them a free tablet and phone.
They took a picture of the EBT card and her driver's license and got our information. I think that's how it would because they were from New York.
These Romanian nationals were charged back in April, accused of installing skimming devices at ATMs and cash registers, cloning the cards, then using them for cash withdrawals.
I still haven't heard anything back from anybody about replacing the stamps or anything.
The choice is clear. We can continue accepting a system that financially punishes biblical family structures while claiming to help the poor, or we can expose this deception and build something better. God's design produces generational blessing, children who grow up with both parents, who learn biblical work ethic, who understand that true security comes from the Lord, and community, not government programs. The world system produces exactly what we've already seen. Communities trapped in cycles of dependency, fatherlessness, and spiritual poverty. When we choose God's blueprint over bureaucratic control, we're not just changing policy, we're restoring the foundation of civilization itself. If this video challenged the way that you think and allowed you to think differently about welfare, poverty, and family structure, be sure to smash that like button and share this with somebody you know would enjoy it. The world needs to know what is happening to American families. So drop a comment about something that you learned today. Thank you guys for watching this video. I pray that the Lord blesses you, that he keeps you, that he makes his face shine on you, and he is gracious to you. I pray that the Lord turns his face towards you and that he gives you peace.